Hi everyone, it's Andrea and welcome to my channel, Girl Plus Paper. In this video, I'm going to work on scrapbooking a photo shoot that we had taken as a family at EPCOT last summer. It was supposed to be a girls' family photo shoot, and my husband jumped into the middle of our photo shoot, and instead of displaying ears, he displayed his Marine Corps cap, as you see here. So I'm going to create a very intricate 2-page spread, and I hope that you'll stick around and get some ideas on how to scrapbook your Disney photos. So let's get started. I've just cut down an 8x10 photo a little bit and matted it onto some candy apple cardstock. Now this is going to surprise you, but I decided that this fresh paint paper was perfect, specifically the paper down here. Let me just bring in the sheets. These are some really busy papers, and you'll get 2 of each piece if you order this collection. There's also optional stickers that you can purchase, and they are really bright and bold. Used this one for my Father's Day project that you might have seen, and they did take me a while. You know, it did take a while for these to grow on me, but I saw all of the colors here and I thought that they really paired well with all of the colors of the flowers and the greens. And we even had some yellow shirts on, the girls and I. So it definitely pulled everything together, the blue of the sky. So I decided this fresh paint paper was going to work well with this picture. And I had initially thought I was going to use this as a full background, but as you'll see, my project is going to get really busy, and I decided that we would use bits and pieces of this sheet of cardstock. So let me move all of this out of the way. And I'm going to bring in my Versamat because we are actually going to line up pieces of this project at some points in time. So we're just going to start out with a few sheets of white cardstock. And basically, I'm just going to give it some splatter here and there. I just needed something to break up the white of this cardstock, and I feel like some black shimmer is just the way to go. You could pull in any shimmer brush. And actually, I'm going to start working just a bit backwards. I'm going to start by working on my right-hand page, which is unusual for me. Usually, I'm a left-to-right kind of girl. So this is what I have. I have some really cute photos of us that I printed in 4x6. And since these photos are they're further away and this one's more close up of just the girls, this is how the photo shoot started. I'm just going to kind of bookend the photo of the 3 girls. I feel like they need to stand out, and so by putting that photo into the middle, it just makes the most sense. And this is where your Versamat is going to come in really handy. I'm just going to bring in the pieces. I've cut 1-inch strips. This is important. When you work with busy papers, you want to kind of tone them down somehow. And so I'm doing that by simply creating 1-inch strips across here. And one other thing I wanted to note was that I decided not to cut both of these from the bottom of the paper or the top. I cut a 1-inch strip from the top and the bottom. This way the pattern varied. So that's just another thing that you can do. And I think I'm just going to put these about 1 inch from the top up here. That'll give me more room to work down here. And I will next lay down the photos, adhere those down, as well as the bottom 1-inch strip of fresh paint paper. Okay, and now I also decided just to use some black cardstock. I've cut 1/2-inch strips, and I just want to pull my eye into the center some more. I feel this way I've got too much white. Again, white is great when you have a busy paper, but I just want to kind of pull your eye into the middle. Okay, so I've cut 1/2-inch strips of my black cardstock, and I just wanted them to have something to make them so not plain, but I didn't want glitter or glitz. I just wanted something. So I decided to run them through my floral lace embossing folder. This is still available too as of this moment, and it just gave them a really nice texture. But it's not going to be overbearing when you look at this layout. So we're just going to go ahead and run some adhesive down these strips. And that was pretty simple, right? Let's go ahead and jump over to the left-hand page. So we'll set this one aside. bringing in the left-hand page, and I will line this up as well, although this one will be easier because it doesn't have as many pieces. So I just wanted to show you, I cut this strip at 3 1/2 inches. And I'm going to adhere this down to the left side of the page. Again, I just felt this was better, having this 12-inch by 3 1/2 inch strip instead of covering the whole page. Your eye really does need some space to just rest with everything that I'm going to have going on in this layout. I had tossed around the idea of maybe doing a pink background, but white was what I decided to go with. And you'll see why shortly. So I think I'm going to put this just really close to the edge here. Oh, first I got to put down that black. I just forgot about this. That black 1/2 inch border. And you'll notice when you emboss skinny pieces of paper like this, they do curl a bit. So I tend to be a little bit more generous with the adhesive here than I do when I'm just gluing down flat pieces of paper. So you really have to just make sure to work it up against the piece that it's butting up against. And you'll see I just matted in some candy apple paper here. And I gutted the inside. I always try to gut to save some space if I can. I'm just going to put that probably about 1/4 inch in from the right-hand side. And I'm just eyeballing it. It's about, 1 1/4 inch up from the bottom and 1 1/4 inch up from the top. This just gives me a really good guide, this Versamat. I love my Versamats. I decided that I was going to bring in some flowers to mimic the floral trellis here in the background and down below. This was the Flower and Garden show, so there's lots of flowers about. And this is our Layered Flowers Thin Cut set. And I haven't really used this too much yet, but I thought this was a perfect time to go ahead and experiment. So I cut out lots of leaves. You'll see those right here. And I cut those out using our evergreen paper. I used this shape as well as its matching background. And I just put those sort of offset from each other and layered them and used this little center here. And then put a leaf out of, so these were candy apple. I used 2 different shades, the 2 different size, and then the evergreen again. And then I also took a couple of little flowers here, and I cut them out of 2 sides of flamingo paper. And I've inked some of these with our Distress Oxide. So pretty easy to follow so far, right? So I have just a pile of flowers that I've got to decide how to use between the 2 layouts. I'm just going to move this die set on out. I'm just going to put this in just because I'm going to try to divide these up. And at this point, I think I can get rid of the Versamat as well. Just make sure we're back in camera here. So you'll see this is going to get really busy really fast. So I'm just going to begin laying out some elements. I have also found a shape right off of Google Images, and I brought that into my CRICUT. It's a little headband, and I think I might use that. Maybe down here somewhere. We'll see. This is always the toughest part for me, deciding how to get this all right. So I'll keep fussing with the arrangement until it feels comfortable to me. And I wanted to start talking to you about the ears part of my title that you'll see coming up in a moment. I used an old Mickey font that I had on my CRICUT Design Space, but you could use any font that you have. And I decided to use some old red glitter paper from my stash, and the outline is just done in black cardstock. And I'm going to go ahead and start lining those up down here. I'm just going to continue to lay out that title right across here. This I used just one of the fonts that was installed on my computer, and I did an offset with it, and I ended up with this title. So I figured I could put this right across the top. You know what? I think I do want it to kind of overlap. I definitely don't want to cover up. I don't want to cover up the flower so much. I think that's about the right placement for it. You could definitely use a negative space up here. I just want to pull everything. I want to pull your eye into the middle with both of these. One of the last details that I did was I used our small bow thin cut. And you know, our Mickey Mouse ears, our Minnie Mouse ears always have a bow in the center. In this particular case, we had glittery ears and sort of a satiny bow. So I decided that I wanted to use kind of the flat matte option here. So you guys have probably seen me do this before. I just have one of my CRICUT tools, but it's important to kind of train the paper. So I just curl the paper just a bit. And when I do that, it's just going to make it easier to glue it back in the middle. But I thought this made the perfect bow for my Minnie Mouse ears. And then I will just use a little bit of our mono adhesive glue. And a clothespin to hold it all together for a moment. Like so. And that's going to go right there. And then one other thing that I always do is I want to do some journaling. I'm going to tell that little story. So my hint for journaling, if you've not seen it before, is to go ahead and use a strip. I generally try to cut it about 3/8 of an inch or a 1/4 of an inch tall, because that's about what fits my handwriting with our Close to My Heart 0.3 journaling pen. And I love these because what I do is I literally write the story right on this journaling pen. Now I knock all the flowers off. I will glue those down, I promise, and then show you the end result. I journal right across, and then I cut up where I need it to, in between words, and I just fit it to where I need it to. So this might overlap the ears just a tiny bit, but I'm okay with that. I just think that would be a fun addition to just do a little journaling here. But I wanted to stress to you, if you are doing Disney layouts, it doesn't always have to be Disney themed paper. Look at your paper collection. Look at your stash. This one, perfect for Disney photos. Who would have thought that fresh paint, kind of a graffiti feel, would work for this photo? But it really just pulled in so many of the colors in these photos that it just went absolutely beautifully. So I'll be back with the finished photos, up close details, so you can take a look. I hope you've been inspired to scrapbook some of your Disney photos. Now, if you've not yet done so, I'd love it if you would become one of my subscribers, and do so by clicking that little subscribe button and leave me a nice comment down below. I'd love to chat. Have a creative day.